This the link up. This the link up. This the link up. Welcome to the link up. This the link up. This the link up. This the link up. Welcome to the link up. Oh. Yes. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of the LinkUp podcast with your host, Mr. King, Kana, and Woods here in the building.
Yo.
Yes, sir.
And today, we got a special guest in the building once more. And, yeah.
Wow.
Host of the year, people. Mr. King.
I was hoping you know carry it through, but Lord, man.
I messed it up.
Yes, we have the special young lady, Miss Jade. I don't know if you want to put your last name out there.
Jade.
Hey, Jade. Okay, yes.
Jade,
Hey, she got a whole rapper name and Jade. We got Jade.
Jade.
Welcome to the LinkUp. Welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, see, I guess so. For everybody else who don't know you, just give us a little background information on you. Who you is, where you come from.
From St. Martin, of course.
Hey, bless up.
Name is Jade Lopez, born and raised in St. Martin, went to St. Dominic's. Went and studied in Tilburg for a year, performing arts, then was in Cambridge studying.
Wait, Cambridge, where's this?
Cambridge in England, in the UK. Studied in Cambridge for a bit, and then performing arts, and then worked, that's me.
Okay, so why performing arts?
Well, when I was younger, I was always dancing. And then I got accepted to a dance school up in Holland. And then from there, I wasn't really happy with the school up there, so I started looking for schools in the UK, because performing arts industry in the UK is a lot better and bigger.
How? In what
Because
aspect?
of West Side
West Side
End.
Story?
No, West Side Story. Because of West End. And
Okay.
just the commercial scene as well. It's a lot bigger, more respected. It's out there.
Okay.
And then, but then I started traveling and I started doing something completely else, something different.
Okay, so I don't even know where to start, but I got a lot of questions. Anything I want to get into right away before I start?
You say you was dancing since you was young. Like, you remember exactly how young you started?
Yeah,
or?
I was like, I don't know. My mother must have put me in when I was about 5 or 6 at Motions, of course. And
Yeah, with Susha and God bless his soul.
Arlene.
Case.
Case,
Yes, God bless them.
Yeah.
And what styles? Do you have any specialties in dance in particular?
At the minute, I'm going more into the Latin field, so bachata mostly. But I majored in jazz and contemporary. But I did everything: jazz, contemporary, ballet, commercial, tap. But if I can tap, that's another question. I can't tap.
Okay, so what, you can't tap, but you studied tap. So what?
Yeah, it was part of the course. I mean, I can tap. I could do the basics, but I'm not a tapper.
I was just about to ask if she would want to tap like the intro from.
Okay, so what's contemporary? I always hear that when like in dance schools and in the movies and stuff like that. But what is contemporary dance?
It could be a mixture of things. It could be a mixture of like ballet, but more on a free side, free spirit, free movement style.
Okay, so like a freestyle ballet.
Yeah, mixed with jazz. There's so many versions of it, though.
But isn't it just like have to do with the like what the word contemporary basically means? Is just like current to some degree, like different styles.
Different styles. Yeah, a fusion of different styles put together, you can say.
But free would still be choreographed, right? It's not like, it's like completely like just.
No, it's still choreographed. I mean, it depends. It depends what you're doing. Sometimes, like here in Holland, we did a lot of. I only did 1 year in Holland, but we did a lot of improvisation, and usually the shows would also be improvisation. So it's just how you.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you have to do everything on the spot. Just
That was here in Holland, but I was only here for a year, so I can't really speak too much about that aspect of it here.
Okay, and then you actually had finished doing your.
I finished. I graduated, and then I.
And this was in the UK. You graduated
in the UK. Graduated in 2013. Then I was working as a performer on a cruise ship for a bit, and then
Which line?
Viking Lines.
Oh, so you was go like Scandinavian and that's fine.
I mean, there are Alaskan cruises and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I don't know why you necessarily want to. But
I mean, they're supposed to have cruises to like where you can see like the Northern Lights and them kind of ones, you know?
Something like that, I guess, might be cool. But generally speaking, at least I would think the idea of a cruise, you go and stop in different places and see multiple countries type of vibe. Like,
where I don't know in Alaska where they want to come off and like,
Yeah, but you don't even want to see the rest of Europe. I can't. Look, you are biased when it comes to this.
Maybe if you want to feel like a Viking. Yeah.
I'm not opposed to cruises or traveling at all. I'm just like in that area. I don't know how much there is to see. That's all I'm trying to say.
I mean, there's a lot to see. I mean,
ice.
I mean, that's carrying on.
This is how long you was working on the cruise line?
4 or 5 months, and then I got offered to do another one, but the cruise life wasn't for me.
No, how come?
No, we had 3 shows a day, so we had a lunchtime show, then a dinner show at 6, and then a midnight show, and then we had staff duties that we need to do. It was just a lot of work, and it was 7 days a week we were doing this as well.
So no day off in
No,
between?
we had a couple hours like in Sweden every now and then, but
A couple of hours?
and then I got left behind, and it was the cruise life just wasn't for me.
Yeah.
Like there's bigger cruises and better cruises where you can get a couple days off, but the cruise life
Okay,
just
well,
wasn't for me.
let's not
But how
pass that
did you
story.
get lost?
Let's not
How
pass
did
that
you
story.
get
How you get left?
I
How
thought
you
no
get left
man gets
behind?
left behind.
Wow,
Like,
so I thought so too, but apparently. So they close the terminals about a few minutes before the ship goes off, and we were there 10 minutes earlier. But the security guard, and it was me and one of my other dancer friends, the security guard was ill, and he was in the bathroom, so he shut 10 minutes earlier. So when we show up 8 minutes before, knowing that we still have 5 minutes to spare, nobody was there to open the doors for us. So we're there banging, 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 and the thing is, when they put the horn down from the ship, all the cleaners come running off, and that's when you know fuck, because any cleaner that get left on has to take the cruise and come back when they come back to Sweden. So you see all the cleaners running off, and him and I just looking there like, bro, how are we gonna jump this gate? How are we gonna get up there? And for every minute the ship is late, it's €1,000 fine. So they couldn't wait for us. Wow. So we had to stay the night in Sweden, which ended up being really dope. Because it was our first night off in a long time. And yeah, we knew we were gonna be in a lot of trouble because the midnight show was screwed.
But I mean, might as well enjoy it if you're already late.
Yeah, well, I wasn't late.
Well, okay,
the man was sick. I'm never late.
Not going to get on the boat, you might as well enjoy the country for the night.
Yeah, and then we caught a sister cruise and caught up with it in Finland, and then joined it the next day.
Okay.
So it was alright. It wasn't too bad.
So I didn't get cut off too much. And
Yeah, and we got a big deduction from our salary taken off too, unfortunately. But it's okay. It's an experience. The stories that matter. So it's all good.
What kind of show was it that you was doing on the cruise?
On that particular cruise, we were doing a 60s show, so like an Elvis show, but mix of every style of dancing.
How many dancers were there?
There was
part of it?
2 girls, total of 5 of us. It was a small
I was
crew.
trying to understand, how serious is it if y'all
Yeah.
was in
Yeah,
there,
so it was serious. It was quite serious because there was also duet parts that I was in with these other guys who were on the ship, and then they had to improv that.
they must have been pissed.
that might have been an interesting show.
I mean, that's what they do in the
Something
Netherlands, right?
unexpected.
But yeah,
Bunch
but
of
let's
improv.
digress to like the actual story. That was donkey years ago now.
And then, okay, so after you was come off the cruise ship, what you started doing after that?
So then I was just working and living around London. I teach Zumba, I teach fitness. And I was working as a host for different nightclubs. I was working at a Pilates studio. I was doing a little bit of,
Damn.
everything. Yeah,
Okay.
everything
Was it
that I
all at
could do.
once or like,
All at once.
Okay then.
My hustle game was up.
But this is what?
And I would do
Homework.
promo. I had about 4 jobs at the time, but I was just going. But I wasn't happy. And then I was accumulating, of course, the savings. And the point of me being in London was to dance, and I wasn't really doing that anymore because London as well is really expensive. So it came to a question of wait all day in line for an audition or go make some guaranteed work. So of course it became that, and then also it was hard to keep when you're not in school and you have to make money, it's hard to keep the training going. But anyways, I ended up feeling like a little bit lost and pressured on what I'm supposed to be doing with my life and the fact that I'm growing up. But I really wanted to get away and do some reflecting. So I ended up taking a trip to Australia to dive the Great Barrier Reef because I wanted to be by the ocean. But part of me was like, I want to go home, but I don't want to go home because, and then the question's going to be like, so what are you doing now? Where you like, Jade? And then you're like, I'm trying to figure that out. Thanks for asking.
But no, that's something on my bucket list still. But great, how that was?
Beautiful. Yeah, beautiful. It's honestly, it's not as I didn't see as many sea life and as many fish that I thought I would see, but the Great Barrier Reef is now officially dead. They claim it as dead because it's not as many sea life there, but it was still beautiful. I was swimming next to turtles that were the size of me. I was going night diving and swimming with sharks, and all the sharks have blue eyes, and you're swimming with like a torch.
You see, this is
no, we see, no, she going at different levels than where
loses
no no even I would have to question that whole shark diving at night.
Bro, like I remember everybody jumping in, and I was like, because at night, all the fishes come around the boat, and then of course all the sharks come around the boat. So you're just surrounded by all these sharks, and I was like really entertained, like watching from the boat. Then all of a sudden everybody started putting on their scuba diving gear, and I was like, we're going in? They were like, yeah, but I was like, but they're sharks.
What kind of sharks?
They were reef sharks, but they were occasionally bull sharks. That was the other thing. You do have bull sharks every here and there. They're like, no, don't worry, we're not going to run into any. I'm like, yeah, but the risk of there being one is there, right?
You see, this is where the black part of this kick in.
Yes, it's like, no.
Nah. I mean, okay, granted, I want to do the cage diving with the great whites in South Africa.
Why?
No.
With the whites?
But yeah,
That's even worse.
But I the cage.
I understand. No, but you make
I
this
the
is bigger
cage.
sharks.
Yeah, but I the cage. she doing free diving with bull sharks. They're like top 5 of the most deadly sharks in
Yeah.
the
I
world.
understand. But you going into top 1, but you feel really good because it's a cage?
Yes, that's the whole point of
Have
the
you not
cage.
seen
not seen
Jaws?
milk-
Have you not seen Jaws?
Not even Jaws. Have you not seen like regular videos of those cages that's breaking?
Yes, I
Yeah,
know.
but you see, if you're gonna do it properly, you gotta do it. I gonna make sure to spend the money to make sure I don't dead. So make sure it's a proper cage. And I ain't going alone. I gonna make sure my brother there.
Why are you putting your brother in there?
Because if anybody that would do it with me, it would be him. He get me into it. I went shark diving first because of him. So he need to repay the favor.
Interesting.
But anyway, so you was
What else were you doing in Australia?
So you end up now you're in Australia.
So I was in Australia. I did the Great Ocean Road, and I started traveling down the East Coast. But I was only supposed to be in Australia for a few months. But then when I started realizing how much the potential of money that you can make out in Australia, because minimum wage in Australia is $25 an hour.
So
Shout outs
fellas,
to
we're gonna start
Australia.
moving. You know the podcast Australia.
You have a European passport, boys. You said you're okay. You can live there.
One only good things about being Dutch.
I'm sure there's many other.
Yes, I'm going to throw all the shade. Okay. Anyway, he was in Australia.
And then, I started traveling down the East Coast, and then I just got the travel bug. But the thing is, I started meeting so many cool people. And the thing is, when you're traveling alone, you genuinely start attracting people of your kind of energy. And you can choose who you want to deal with and who you don't want to deal with. Because there's many backpackers. But usually people who, you end up finding your vibe. And I really liked the lessons I was being taught from individuals that I was meeting. And sometimes I only meet them for a day or two, but they've been such an impact on my life and such a big influence. And I really I need to be like active to learn. I can't sit in one spot. I start to feel like I turn off. So like the adrenaline or the idea of moving and learning and seeing what else is out there and experiencing is what was like, okay, let me stay in Australia for a bit. Let me work. Let me make some money and let me go traveling some more. But I was still dancing, but not like as much as like training intensely, just taking my classes. And I wasn't really sure where I was going, but then I started doing yoga, and then yoga led me to do my teacher training in India, and then India turned up.
Okay,
That's
so
another long story.
So it is a whole other saga. So how long you was actually in Australia?
I was in Australia for 10 months first, but for you to get your second working holiday in Australia and your second working holiday visa for Australia, because you're only granted 2 years, but to get your second year you have to do 90 days of industrial work. Yeah.
Okay.
So for 3.5 months, I had to work on a farm. But it's a regular farm.
Is there a particular logic behind like why industrial work?
I guess giving back to the community in some kind
Yeah,
of
it's just
like
there's
that,
so much land in Australia. There's so much agriculture in Australia, and because Australians get paid so well, there's not many people that want to do that work.
So they want the foreigners do it.
Okay.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean,
You want to live here, walk here?
How committed are you to the Australian cause?
How badly do you want to
How
live
bad
in
do you
this
want to
country?
stay?
Are you gonna pick my cotton, boy?
Wow. You see, and then this just go left, right, and goes, no, that, God.
You telling me they ain't picking cotton in Australia?
Well, I had to pick potatoes. Well, dig up potatoes, drive tractors, tomatoes, pick zucchinis, pack zucchinis. I did a lot of.
So you could drive a tractor then.
Yeah. Well, there was nobody on the field, so there's nobody there was no risk of anybody getting injured. So,
Well, I mean,
I wouldn't say, give me a tractor now, I'll show you how it's done.
But I mean,
No.
if you mess up the plans, that's messing up money, and then
Well, just straight. Straight.
If you're messing up straight,
Just go straight.
I can't
Don't
see
make no sense. And then they'll dig up the soil, then you guys gotta go back with your crew and dig up the potatoes, sweet potatoes. But I used to come across because there's a lot of wildlife in Australia as well. So we used to come across a lot of red belly snakes, which is one of the world's most dangerous snakes.
So you guys come across this regularly?
Like I could tell you, there was one time I was digging up in the soil, like picking the potatoes.
Picking the cotton.
This isn't my life. This was just a part of my life. And there was I was there in summertime, and summertime here is wintertime there, so the air is colder.
Mm-hmm.
So the snakes move slower because they're cold.
Mm-hmm.
So I was digging, and it was blended in with the soil, and luckily there was a sheepdog that was always next to me, spotted it, grabbed it, and just took it, and we ended up killing it. But I was a centimeter from being bit.
So what would be the procedure if you actually had to get bit?
I had 15 minutes to get in one of the shots,
Yes.
and then they would have to send a helicopter in to take me to hospital if I survive. But it was okay. But
Remember
every
when-
tractor has one of these these shots in case
Yeah.
you do get bit. Mine, that they didn't, because I was like, well, imagine I had got bitten and I went to check just in case, and I was like, there's no.
So you're dead there practically.
I would have been, but it's okay. It wasn't. I had the dog. The dog saved my life.
Wow.
Remember when we just said we should go to Australia?
Yeah,
I
Take
don't
that
think so.
back.
Yo, but Australia is known
No,
for
it's
one of the
beautiful.
places that having the most animals that could kill you.
Yeah,
And the Netherlands is like the opposite.
and
Name one animal that can kill you in the Netherlands.
it's true.
I'll wait. There is none.
But I was gonna say something, but I'm gonna stop making
They got
fun of the
houses.
people.
Well, I mean,
kick from a house.
Yo,
I mean, the horses get Superman.
I see a man get hit both from a house already. That ain't cool.
There's a bird that has such a powerful kick. I think they call it wasserary. That's such a powerful kick that it would puncture your
How
lungs
big
and
is this
kill.
bird?
It looks
It's like
like
ostrich,
a
emu type of
roadrunner.
bird?
Yeah, it looks like a roadrunner.
Ostrich?
An ostrich. Sorry, roadrunner.
Is Roadrunner? No, Roadrunner's a Roadrunner.
Yeah.
I was just gonna
That's
say.
bird.
Okay, yeah, but it looks like one of those big birds, but it's
Ostrich.
but it's not. It has really thick, big legs, and when a lot of people up north, they come across them, and are you gonna Google it?
Yeah. Let's see what this bird look like.
And like, there's people that be walking their dogs, and if the thing is, if you ever come across them, you have to stay still, because if you move an inch, it will just attack you, because it will feel threatened, and it will kill you instantly.
What?
Yeah.
I don't understand.
So you got
This is a good
birds, you got
advertisement for go to
everything.
Australia.
What's the name?
Wasserary.
I don't understand why there's so many animals in Australia want to kill you.
Why?
But think about it.
They upset these humans invading our home.
Either that or like all of them come together. Yeah, I think all of them come together and say, look, right? We going to all evolve in some type of way to just come. They got the box jellyfish. You get kicked from a kangaroo, that's practically dead. They got these like at least 15,000 different snakes. She said, nah, like, you get kicked from a kangaroo, Jay?
I mean, if you get kicked a couple times, maybe. I mean, I don't think I've never heard of anyone dying
No?
from getting kicked.
Well,
from
if
a
that
kangaroo.
muscled up kangaroo kicks
That's
you,
worry.
So you heard of people getting kicked from kangaroos? Like, you know people that
Yeah,
have
but
gotten
there's
kicked
you
from
see those
kangaroos?
memes online as well, where this kangaroo is boxing with this
Yeah,
man.
it's
for-
not-
Yeah, with
it's
his
not a
dog.
video.
Yeah,
yeah,
we see
because
the
of his
video.
dog. Yeah,
yo,
I mean,
didn't
it
man get a
hurts. But I don't-
fine and shit. Like,
It look
they
like a
want-
peacock, this bird.
Like I see.
It look like the cousin of a peacock.
Okay.
Don't let him fool you.
No, but I wouldn't doubt.
I think was one see.
No, what's it? But I wouldn't doubt that because I get chased from geese a few times, no, once, and I don't want and them things bigger than a goose. So
In England, I've seen people chased by geese, and like the geese attack.
Yo.
And my friend, well, this person I knew, not a friend, had massive scars on his
Let me show
face
you
and his
s-
arm from the geese.
Yo, the headline on this video, it just says, doesn't even say the name of the bird, no, it just says, world's deadliest bird.
yo,
I good.
when it comes to that whole goose thing, I always been saying since I get chased by that bird, if I have to get with like really a lot of money and like a good piece of land, I ain't gonna have I have dogs too, but I don't have a goose.
A goose.
I going to have a goose. Like everybody want pit bulls and stuff like that. No, I going to have a flock of geese.
Okay.
I mean, if you really want nobody to come into your yard, just buy hippos.
Then you need water and stuff.
Yeah,
and
I mean
things.
that's like Tony
But
Montana
no,
kind of
but I
rich.
mean, if you have
a little more work. If
if you have money and you really want nobody to enter your yard,
Yeah,
just
but I
have
would
some
like to go in my
hippos.
yard too. You know, I could be one with the geese. I ain't know about that whole hippo thing.
You'll be like the next Escobar hippo.
But what's wrong with the electric fence though? Get a guard tower, some snipers,
'Cause-
put some
'cause
snipers on
sometimes
duty.
you
Because
want-
people fickle, and you could always get around those kind of
No,
electronic
but
things.
sometimes
can't
you
think
want
with
to
animals.
touch your
Bribe a
own
goose,
fence.
That's what you're saying. You
Not
can't bribe-
my geese, okay? You'll not be able to bribe my geese. My geese going to be special.
Okay.
But King, sometimes you just want to touch your own fence. You understand? You bought it. You want to touch it.
Okay.
It's like,
But you.
All right, Jesus Christ. I say,
Like, this is normal. Like,
Welcome.
this is normal. This is a regular LinkUp
oh,
podcast.
no, he just still catch me off guard sometimes. I don't understand it. Almost a year in.
But
that means
Miss
I'm not
Jade.
losing my touch. So.
you were saying like how long you was in Australia? You say you was there for 10 months first, and
about 10 months. But yeah, so it went from me only supposed to being there for a few months to seeing work opportunities to then being like, okay, I gotta go do my industrial work to get the second year. So it was like constantly travel life, stable life, stable hustle life, travel life, hustle life. And then I went to India after my farm work, so that when I was gonna come back, my second year was gonna begin. But my second year didn't get approved in time. So I had to change my flight. And I was only supposed to be in India for 6 weeks, 4 weeks for like the course, the yoga teacher training course. 2 weeks traveling and then head back. But my visa never got dope. My visa never got approved for Australia in time. So that ended up extending my ticket to an open return, and that's how I ended up going around India and living in India for 11 months. Yeah.
okay, before we get to
it's-
India, you were saying like, you know, one of the things you really enjoyed about Australia is that the people you was running into and the stories.
Yeah,
and
the
advice and
travelers.
stuff.
But yeah, you find that the more I travel, like India, the people that I met, the more I traveled and the deeper I traveled, and the further away from the Western life I went, the deeper the journeys became, the stories became, the lessons became.
What would you say was like one of the standout moments or one that you definitely impacted you a lot? A story from a particular person you remember? In Australia, I guess, first, before you get to India.
Yeah, just narrow it down a bit. Sound like I was about to explode there, man.
There isn't just one. But what I can tell you is sometimes when you stop worrying so much about what am I supposed to be doing, where am I going, and you just enjoy what's in front of you and the people who are coming to you, you will start noticing what's being presented to you and what's already in front of you.
This ain't the first time I'm hearing this.
Sometimes we worry so much that the opportunities lie right in front of our eyes, but our mind is taking us somewhere else that we can't see it.
Living in the future instead of the now.
Yeah, instead of the now. And I understand, like, we have to, because especially, like, when we're living in a stable life, we got bills to pay, we got this to meet, we got shit to do. But that, at the same time, I feel like living this kind of life stops us from having our purpose, because we're so caught up in worries.
See it now.
Have you discovered your purpose?
I'm in the process. I mean, it's a lot clearer, the direction I'm going, but it's still, I don't want to say, because something's always given to me and something's always changing.
Well, what would you say in particular about Western civilization and Western lifestyles, I guess, impedes the pursuit of our of our purpose?
Ooh, this conversation getting all spiritual.
I didn't expect it to go here, but I mean, we here now.
Since we here.
Wait, say that again?
What would you say about this civilization, the way we live over here, I guess, would get in the way of us finding a purpose?
Okay, maybe I can't say it like that, because some people know what they're on. Maybe it was more my journey. I didn't know where I was going or where I wanted to go. But through not worrying so much about it, things started coming to me. But if you already have your mission and your purpose and your head's clear and you know what direction you're going on, it doesn't matter where you're at. But sometimes when you don't know where you're at or where you're going, and then you're stuck in a society where you have bills to meet, or expectations to meet, or people you don't want to disappoint, or family members you don't want to disappoint, you start living for others and you start getting lost in that.
True.
But then you don't find especially in 2018, like, there's so much things going on now. That shouldn't be an excuse. Like, if you really want to do that, you really wanted to find yourself, like, there's enough ways and resources you can just up and go.
Yeah, but
and decide
there's
to
so
go.
many distractions as well. Like, somebody will come to me with an idea, I'll be like, yo, that's sick, I want to do that. Somebody's gonna come to me with this, yo, that's sick, I could do that. Like, you're interested in so much. Like, yeah, you're just interested in so much that sometimes when you're presented I'm speaking for myself, when you're presented a lot, you're like, okay, which one am I juggling? And sometimes you gotta step back to realize, yo, this has always been my thing. I don't know what influenced me to take this, to just step back and be by yourself.
So you feel everybody necessarily has a purpose?
Oh yeah, every single body does. Everybody does.
I know some useless people in the world, you know.
Nah, everybody does. And the thing is, we're sometimes scared to discover it. And like, I saw this, I can't remember her name now, but I saw this speech and read this book, that when you don't know what your purpose is, which was maybe my time, I wasn't sure what direction I was going in, follow your curiosity. And through being curious and answering all your curiosities, you end up discovering what it is you're truly passionate about, or what it is that keeps coming back to you.
Okay. True. That's deep.
Thanks.
I mean, you could just say that in kind of different words. You gotta try something to see if you like it or not.
Yep.
If you don't know what this, do some stuff.
Yeah, but I got some things I just never going to try because I just know I never gonna like it.
Yeah, well,
But
that
then
has
you already
different,
know.
obviously.
Yeah.
Then, you don't
Knowing than not knowing are two very different things.
But then certain things you might feel compelled, like, I think I might want to do that, and if you just be like, okay, I'm afraid I might fail or whatever, and then all of those things lead to regrets, and then it's best, if you don't know what this is trying to do, what do you have to lose, type of thing. Try it.
Yeah.
For example, I wanted to play the guitar. Did some lessons, figured out it's not for me.
Oh boy.
I realized a while ago, like, anything musically, I'm not that one.
I mean,
Or anything art type.
when it comes to music, like the piano, that's just natural. Drums is natural, DJing is natural, but the other things, not so much.
You don't know until you try.
Yeah, I tried a lot.
I just know.
But it's something that has to come really naturally to you. Like, you wake up in the morning and you want to pick up the drumsticks rather than, I need to practice.
Yeah.
You know?
Honestly, I feel like this podcast is kind of like, it falls into that category.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, for us at least.
we wasn't sure exactly where it was going to go and how things was going, what was going to turn into, but it turned into what it is now, that allowing us to have this conversation. And some of the previous conversations we had just, to me, was like, it's dope connecting certain people and think like introducing certain people to an audience that they may not have been familiar with and stuff like that, giving people a platform to speak about whatever it is that they're passionate about, that they're doing and promoting and stuff like that. It wasn't necessarily planned. Like, it just kind of happened. And I feel like it's definitely I feel like it's something that we definitely need to continue doing.
So you came into this with the unknown, without any worries, without it. You're just like, yo, we have cool conversations. Let's just talk.
Yo, basically, that's kind of true, Jade.
Like, we just...
It just naturally unfolded. Yeah.
And the thing is, it's just funny how we ended up doing it, because both of us, not... Like, even when it comes to our group of friends, we're not the ones that claim the spotlight or want the spotlight. We're more like shadow people. So the fact that the both of us actually come together and doing something where we the center of where people come in here to listen to us, so people come in to watch us, but now that we got visuals and stuff like that, the camera, but like people come in here to watch us and stuff like that. I've never had more than like 50 people interested in nothing I ever do in my life. So like to have like us having maybe something like 200 views or like 100 something views, like wow. Okay, obviously I know it's not just for me, it's like for other people, but I mean still like 100 something people watching like some shit that I doing. It's like
I think when things like this form, it forms beautifully, and it's a big success because it formed naturally. It came in its natural path. Nobody overthought it or planned forever to do this. You just like, yo, spare of the moment, and you went with it, and it developed into something beautiful. And it reminds me of a story. I met this. This is going to lead to India.
That's good. That's
good.
That's what we're doing.
I met this amazing guy in India. So in India, it's a long... In India, there's everyone... in Jaipur, where I'm from, up north, a lot of people don't go to school.
Look how long she did that. She said, where I'm from.
Where I was. I'm not from there. I'm from Matin. I'm from Matin. Born and raised. Where I was, like, so... They grow up on the streets. They're from a young age. They're taught to hustle. They're taught to beg. They don't go to school. They have to go out and bring bread back home for the family. And this boy, this guy, Sajid was his name. He, from a young age, he was on the street hustling, begging for money from tourists. And then he started working at like a mechanic, just like passing tires and just doing his job, doing small things here and there, working in a kitchen. And as he got older, he started noticing like all the money is in the tuk-tuk drivers, because all the tourists come on the tuk-tuks. So he really wanted to learn to drive a tuk-tuk and get his tuk-tuk. So he started saving just for that. He said this was the first time he ever saved, because the whole life he'll make money and he'll spend it and have fun. Make money, spend it, have fun. And he was like, no, I want to get there so I can make more. So he bought himself a tuk-tuk, and then he started going around and driving a tourist around. And he never knew English. So he made sure he practiced English. And how he did it was to make sure that his tourists, his customers, had a really good time, which was great for him. So they'll pay him, I don't know, like maybe 1,000 rupees for a day tour, which is what, maybe like €8.50. Yeah, nothing.
For a day tour.
For a day tour. 1,000 rupees, and then get his day tour. But with that money, he would also spend it and invest it back into the tourists. So take them to a bar and, have drinks with them, spend his money on that. And what ended up happening was that these tourists ended up coming back to India just for him, or ended up sending people and giving him his contact number saying, yo, this guy is legit. He's such a cool Indian guy. Like, he will show you a good time. He's a good friend of mine. And he just started getting loads and loads and loads of people coming. And of course, his English became better. And then all of a sudden, he started having a lot of people asking him about where can he stay. And and first he was recommending hostels, recommending different places for everyone to stay. And then his friend had a building, and he has no idea how to run a business. No idea what a Western hotel looks like, what a Western hostel looks like. And he just asked his friend spontaneously, can I borrow your building and run a hostel from it?
That's an interesting question. Can I borrow your building?
But that's India. That's the magic of India. And it's like, if you have a good friend or somebody's a family member, it's almost as if you're expected to do that favor for someone. And it's beautiful. That's beautiful. And then, anyway, so he started this hostel. And when he started this hostel, he was like, I didn't know what to... He calls me Baba. He calls all girls Baba, which is like flower. Baba, I didn't know what to do. So he laid like mats on the floor, because in India, they sleep on like just mats and a towel. And he started laying all of this on the floor. And eventually he started getting like some tourists in. And then people would say, oh, you can't do that. You can't do that. You need this. And from there, he would start switching and adjusting. But also, there's a lot of backpackers. And I don't know how they fully do it. But they travel the world with no money. And one of the things that they do is I still don't know how they can sustain it the whole way through, is they come into these hostels, they offer a service, like I'm a painter, and you get some really dope like travelers who are artistic travelers. I'm a painter, I'll paint this wall for you, and you have beautiful portraits on like every corner of his hostel now because of all, and everyone has a story. Oh, this girl was from Austria, this girl was from China, she did this for me and this for me.
That's dope.
And it was so dope, because there was always something more meaningful behind anything that you saw there. Then he started getting people in that knew how to do web designing, so he got them to set up a website for him. He started teaching him about how to use an email. And then he had this one guy from Hungary, and he had a drinking problem as well. And he painted this beautiful picture on the wall. And he didn't want to get rid of him, but he wanted to, because he promised him the free stay for 2 weeks if he did this wall. And it was a stunning photo, and he have never seen. And he went into his room, locked himself up in this room where he painted, and he didn't want to be disturbed for 2 days. I think he was on something. And when he opened that door, this painting was just mind-blowing. But he ended up having a drinking problem, so he didn't know how to get rid of him. But what he ended up doing is, the only time this man was shut up was when he was in the kitchen. So he would start putting him in the kitchen and giving him food to make for himself. But the food that he was making for himself ended up being so good. So many of the people in the hostel, because his rooftop ended up turning into a restaurant, started asking what was that this guy was eating, because he was also very picky and particular about his food. That he started asking this guy, can you teach us some of the stuff on your on what you eat? And then from there they developed this menu from Hungary. So he has now, and this was all within a couple months. He has a section now on the menu from Hungary, a section now on the menu from some Israeli people that came in and started teaching them. And now he has the best rooftop restaurant in all of Jaipur. From this guy from going from the street, and the most successful hostel. So sometimes it's just being genuinely interested in something, or genuinely wanting to have a good time or help someone, can lead you to a successful business or a successful anything. You just have to be genuine about it.
But I see stories like that to make you like, yes, I can do it. And then you go in the weird world like, fuck.
Yeah, I know.
Because like as short as, I mean, as crazy as that story was, we don't know like the amount of times this man like was said no, or the amount of like backpedals he had to do, or how difficult it probably was for him to learn English and all that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, he's been hustling his whole life. I think he's 32 now, and only in the last 2 years has his life drastically changed. But he's been hustling from 5, 6.
That's generally how it goes, and it's a sad thing in life. Like the way that normally when we know about people is when they've acquired or attained some level of success, that they've made it. If you look at artists or something like that.
But that's also beautiful, because then they also bring their like lessons behind it and their motivations behind it when we're feeling down, because they've been in that position as well.
That's true as well.
But I mean more from the perspective of like, sometimes is misleading for a lot of people.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
The way things are often presented is like misleading for a lot of people to see like, oh, yo, he did that, but you have no idea like.
Because everybody think is everybody want the overnight success. That's the thing is, and people don't realize.
See the grind, the hard work, the hustle that went into getting how many nights it was to get to that overnight.
But you have people that talk, like Will Smith speaks about his struggles a lot. There are people that do like come open about that.
I've been telling people is Will Smith opening up an Instagram account is the best thing that ever happened to social media.
And the Red Table Talk, I love the Red Table Talk.
I've never actually checked a full episode, but I saw some clips of it, and it looks a little bit deep. It looks a little bit too tense for me, to be quite honest. But I want to check it out. I will check it out at one point.
I watched a few videos of it.
The Red Table Talk? Yeah?
My only issue with it is, to me, it feels very like reality TV. Like it feels like some of the things and the way that is like, okay, cool, let me get all the family together and set them up and prepare for this conversation. And like,
Was
it
the other one?
feels very reality.
What was
TV
the other
show.
one we was talking about earlier before we started recording? That we
Which one? The
the
masculine.
Yeah, what that one called?
Man Enough.
Man Enough. There's a topic we might want to if we have time bring up later. But I feel like we going a little bit past the India stuff. So you're in India now.
Yeah.
So how you actually end up staying there for 11 months? Because it was only supposed to be for a couple of weeks for the training, right?
Yeah,
6
so
weeks, you said?
yeah, it was 4 weeks for the training and then 2 weeks traveling. But then my visa didn't get approved, and then I started traveling just around and going to different places to do yoga, and then meeting yoga people along the way and being like, hey, do you want to come with me to Mysore? Do you want to come with me here? Like, cool, let's get to train. Let's go. let's do the...
I got nothing else to do.
Well, I wanted to fully embrace it. I had to be there anyway. I didn't want to sit and worry.
Sure.
Like, what am I going to do? What am I... So I was like, yo, let's go. And then I met this girl who was a cartoon artist. And she was always sketching. And because she was sketching, I started sketching. And then when I started sketching jewelry. And then I met this other girl later on in my travels who saw my sketchbook and was like, yo, your jewelry is dope. Like, you should get it made. And I'm like, nah, it's just jewelry. And she ended up telling me a story about her coming to India a couple years ago and getting some clothes made for herself. And when she went back, people loved it. And she came back the following year with a lot of stuff. Started selling her clothes in a festival. And then now a couple years later, she has a clothing line in Topshop in Oxford Circus Street. So she was like, you never know, just go. So when she told me that story, I was like, she inspired me. I was like, YOLO, I'm here. Why not? Let's go. So I went up, I was on my way to... Pushkar, which is where you can get stuff made for cheap, and a lot of tourists, Westerners go. So I thought, let me go. So on my way to Pushkar, I meet this another tuk-tuk driver who's driving me to my hostel for the night, and he tells me, why are you going to Pushkar? And I explained, and he was like, but Jaipur is the home of all gemstones, which is true. And he's like, they get all their supplies from here. Give me a day in Jaipur, and if you don't like it, go up to Pushkar next day. So I said, okay, cool, no problem, let's do it. So then started doing this jewelry, found some people to make my jewelry. And then while waiting for my jewelry to be made, I started getting invited to like all these Indian weddings, and because it was wedding season as well. And then from there, I ended up meeting the kids and started working with the kids and being... the kids started asking me to come back and teach them, and they're so enthusiastic and they're so desperate to learn because they don't go to school. So you teach them a patty cake game, and they're like, "Wow, dude, what else? What other trick do you know?" And you can't walk away from that. So from there, I started teaching these kids, and then when my jewelry was done, I didn't want to leave the kids, and because I had gotten really attached to one of the families, and then from there, I decided to start the foundation and raise some money to get these kids into school. And then I started getting some more kids because more people needed help. And then that's how the whole foundation thing started.
So what's the name of the foundation itself?
I Heart All Humankind.
Okay.
It was going to go bigger because at one point I was like, I'm going to go everywhere. And then it was like, wow, this is heavy.
Yes, okay, so how did that actually start? Like from like paperwork to actually getting it organized?
It just started with... so I had these 4 kids, and then I had a deaf girl that I was helping. And it just started with, okay, I'm going to try and raise some funds just through family and friends to get these kids into school.
I remember seeing the page going around on Facebook.
Yeah. So yeah, that's how it happened. It just started happening from people asking people to help out and sponsor, and my feedback was amazing. Everyone was so touched by it. And I started getting good support. So then I started saying, okay, I'm going to try and get this deaf girl an ear operation. But the doctors in India, it's very, and especially in Jaipur, it's very difficult. And because of her age as well, she already developed, it was too late for her to develop certain nerves. So if I got her a cochlear implant, which is what the first couple of months was discovering what she needed, it wouldn't have, she wouldn't have been able to recognize noises, what certain noises are. She could only hear a noise because her nerves had already been developed. But yeah, and then but it went from one big thing. So then I just ended up, I raised money to get them all into school, and I was doing day activities with them as well to show people like what I was doing with the kids. And then I put all the kids in school, and that was.
So what's happening with the foundation now, though?
I can't be in India. I have to be there to run it. So I've given it to it's in the process at the minute because their school year is just finished, their first school year, and I'm now handing it over to another French charity that's based in Delhi that's going to take care of these kids. But it's all in the making now, so I can't.
Okay. You can't really say too much about it.
Yeah.
That's dope, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is like, apart from what just happened, but there was this one thing that really caught my attention and I could not let it go.
I'm sure you know what it is.
Yes. Why is there a wedding season?
I was going to ask you that. When is wedding
Oh no,
season?
I never hear about that. Like that, like that's
It's a legit season.
Yeah.
People get married and then the rest of the
Because
year no one gets married.
It's supposed to be a mixture of things. Not only supposed to be like the good time of the year. It's supposed to be like good luck, and it's supposed to be like
Thank
all
you.
kind of
Yes.
Yeah.
So when
just-
is wedding season?
when was I there? So from like November until February time. November and December. January a bit, but not so much. Not February, sorry. Was at the start.
Interesting.
Yeah, I've heard about it before, but I don't
And
know
it's
exactly
beautiful.
why.
They bring camels out on the roads. They dress the camels. They bring elephants out.
What was the joke?
I'm sorry. When you hear, it was very beautiful. The first thing you think about is not camels, okay?
Yeah, it's true.
That's not the first beautiful animal you would think of.
This is the other thing that kept me in India so long. India is so entertaining. You can never get bored being in India. There's something that's always amazing
sounds like
that's
Japan.
happening around you, and you're like, I mean, I once got stuck because in India as well, when you're crossing the roads, nobody drives on one side of the road. Everybody's back and forth on each side of the road. I once got stuck in the middle of the road trying to cross the road with a cow for about 10-15 minutes. And there was this one point where I saw and me and this cow, I could see this cow just looking back and forth and kind of looking at me, and I felt like we vied for a second because when I actually saw it was time to go, I actually kind of look at the cow and I tapped it just to be
Yo, you ready?
and I walked and the cow was like, okay, and it followed me, and I was like, well, I just had a connection with a fucking cow. I was stuck in the street with 15 minutes. But that's India. You find monkeys on top of cows, kids next to playing next to trash with cows and monkeys. It's
Okay, lad,
that's
man,
just
you just take the whole joke out of it. You say kids play with trash, that ain't cool, man.
oh no, but it's the norm. It's the norm.
Yeah,
It's
but that's the sad part.
It's
Oh,
I
that
didn't mean
was-
to make
I
that sound.
realized that would be a little too inappropriate to laugh
Yeah,
at.
yeah.
Kids playing.
Sorry.
He finally found something that he would not laugh to.
No, but
The line has been
Crippled
drawn
man
down.
dying, still funny for him.
But now,
yo, the beams are funny. How you make me just sound like an asshole?
I mean,
Okay, screw both of you, okay? Shit. But if we have to look back at that episode, that was a tense episode. But anyway, that whole cow thing made me lose train of thought. You can imagine her just in the middle of the road, just there.
Yeah, that's nothing. I got robbed by monkeys.
there was this one meme.
Yeah.
What? Really?
I got robbed by monkeys in Nepal, man.
Okay, what do you mean robbed?
Did they steal
I
from
went nothing. I went to the the market to buy some fresh fruit. And I'm walking back to where I'm staying now, and there's these monkeys, because they always throw stones and stuff at the monkeys to not leave them come near the market. But people who are walking after, it's just they're just waiting for them in packs.
They take your bag.
Vicious. Yeah, so I'm walking now, and all of a sudden I feel like something goes, from there's a snap from my finger, and I'm looking down at the floor thinking a kid is playing with me or somebody teasing me, and I'm not seeing nothing. And it's my bag, my banana, my mango, all my good fruit. I was so excited to get home. It's and it's and this is the best fruit ever. Fruit in Asia is so different from fruit.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
So then, and I'm looking, and I see this monkey climbing the wall, and it has his my bag of fruits, and it's looking back at me and like watching me. And as soon as I spot my eye on it, it's like, and it start walking up and then start eating from a distance and watching me like, yeah, bitch, I got your food.
Like, what
I'm
you
like,
gonna do?
what?
Yo.
That's some disrespectful monkeys. They'd have to buy.
Yeah, the monkeys are vicious.
You see, all things like that. I don't know if I'm ready to like encounter those kind of things.
Yo.
Like, I don't know if I'll be able to think like living in. I don't think that's for me.
I just thought of something, and I don't know if I step in my boundaries, but here we go. Let's say there's a riot going on in India, right? Let's say a riot happens. Do you think like the government has just like these cows just waiting in the back
No.
to release them just to stop all the people from fighting?
No, they worship cows.
No, that's why. So if there's a riot happening outside, they will just release cows to go start walking, and it's like, okay, stop fighting, there's cows.
Jesus.
It came into my mind. I could not let it go.
I don't think so. No.
Jesus Christ.
I would suggest something like that, you know.
What a question.
I know.
First of all, like no.
I commend you for answering it.
And she answered see you like, nah, I don't think so. I really don't. Like no shit. Now what the fuck was?
I mean, it came to mind. I couldn't let it go.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, it's not okay.
He was curious.
No, it's not okay.
It's
Do not
okay.
enable him, Jade.
It's not. It's
No.
okay. I got silly questions sometimes.
Okay, so after India, so where you end up?
So I was back and forth between Nepal as well, because you can only be in India for 6 months before you have to renew the visa, and then in Nepal they only give you 3 months.
But they don't have a longer visa? Other than 6 months?
No, unless I was applying for work there.
Oh, okay.
So this was a travel visa. And then but one thing led to a next, and I started taking workshops. Well, I took a workshop in Delhi with a bachata team, with 2 bachata dancers called Cornell and Rikita. And then from there, they had invited me to an after party, and they're quite well known in the Latin scene. And then from there, I was introduced to some other people who invited me to Bangalore, IIDC, India International Dance Congress, where I assisted in teaching. And so they flew me out there, and they paid for me to be out there, and I was working out there, and it was from there the whole spark came up in with the dancing again. And then from there I went to the States to train for a bit.
So you still end up in dancing?
Still ended up in dancing.
That's mad how that still end up. You end up doing like almost a year of charity work, and then you still end up.
And now I'm trying to maintain that and hustle as well inside. We'll see where that goes.
Okay, so now where are you currently now?
I'm currently in Australia. I'm in Australia again.
Okay.
And I'm there. Yeah, I'm in Australia.
Okay, so how long are you in the States? So there's a state saga now. So let's.
How many countries have you been to? Like, where have you been?
A lot.
Can you keep track at this point? What does your passport look like? How many do you have?
It looks great because it's almost all filled.
Every
time, like when I was coming here, I was like, wow.
People tell me I travel a lot, but you way past me.
Yeah, it's funny you say that, but like when I'm traveling and the people I meet, I'm like, man, I haven't done anything.
Okay, that's true.
There's people out there that, I've done all.
Yeah, but I mean that's like their life. They legit be like, okay, you know what? Screw I just
okay, but like I wasn't traveling. This is one thing I have to make clear. I wasn't traveling to travel. This wasn't a holiday. My travel experience was work, because as well as me not knowing how long I was going to stay out in India, I got a job out there. I was managing a hostel out there. And then I was also teaching out there as well. And then I was doing this charity on top of it. I wouldn't have been able to sustain myself if I hadn't found work while I was out there. But for those who are interested in working, I was telling one of my friends in England the other day, because she's keen on what I'm doing, but she's just like, I'm scared I'm going to run out. There's always going to be opportunities, especially if you go to Asia, and we're Westerners and we've been to school, we know the basics of reading and writing. People are always, and how to talk to people and how to communicate. People will be keen on you, and you can find work easy. And there's this website called now it's gone and I'm blank. Get back to you with the website, but there's this website where wherever country you're going to and whatever kind of work that you do, you type it in, and people would then ask you to come and work for them. So like I was a yoga instructor and a Zumba instructor, and I got invited to come down to Malaysia to teach for this family at their house, and they were supplying me with free food and accommodation and a bit of pay. And so I didn't end up taking that job. But if I took that job, I would have been there for a bit. I would have been safe for a bit. Would have made money. And then I would have gone on. So that's how you do the whole. When you're traveling, you're hustling as well. You're not just.
But I've been trying to get like, especially not just Westerners, but like especially like our Caribbean people to go and like mess over there in Asia, because almost anything that's big in the West, you can do in a small little village and country in Asia and just make money.
Yes.
Make money, and it don't have to be nothing big. Like legit, like what she was saying. Because when I was in Vietnam, I saw a lot of people traveling, and a lot of backpackers, and almost everybody was teaching English, and making decent, making like something like 500 euros a month just teaching English.
I know people who it's called you have to sign up and do a TEFL course, and people travel the world doing that, and they make good money doing that.
And all you have to do is just get certified that you could teach. And
it takes a few months.
Yeah, from what I understand, it's nothing. And you could live off of that.
Yeah.
What are we going to school for?
To build on your dream.
Like I could have just do that and like teaching Japan, teaching Malaysia, Singapore, Thailand. Now what that place? Kuala Lumpur is open. Not Kuala Lumpur. Myanmar is opening up now with the whole regulations and stuff like that, because it was real thing to read. It was real difficult to get in there before, but now.
But there is a St. Martin boy. I can't remember. Star does that for a living.
No idea who this is, but
Peterson.
I don't know his last name, but there's a boy called Star. He travels the world and works, like he's working on yachts at the minute, but he just does random jobs and he videotapes everything that he does as well.
Is he on Instagram?
Yes.
Does he mind his Instagram being shared with the world? Is it open?
I have no
or?
idea.
Maybe we should check home by and then we can see if we go.
Yeah.
we
But yeah, I was just saying there is a local boy that does that.
No, but I have other friends. I have a friend of mine that lives on Ting Self. He just came back from Chengdu. So he was in China. He was in China doing his exchange for a while. And then I have another friend of mine who did her internship in China for a while. So I have another friend of mine who just left for Japan to live for a year.
What a culture shock.
Yeah, yo,
yeah.
Like,
I know.
but that's why
it's good.
I recommend everybody to go there, because then you really not only you get to see other cultures, but you learn to you learn to appreciate your own as well.
Appreciate, and it also just gives you a different perspective on things, gives you a different way to handle things, even creates more ideas, because you start collaborating things that you've learned from different countries that you've been to.
Yep. And I mean, still, like, if from all the places I've been, if you had to ask me to, I would still quickly go to Asia and Japan.
Yeah, there's a lot to learn.
In a heartbeat. And I didn't even get to go everywhere.
But since you mentioned that, like, what was your experience with culture shock in terms of like going to India? I think I don't know, but I believe Australia would probably be a lot more similar.
Yeah, you're right, because Australia is a Western country.
Yeah, and then India.
Yeah, so Australia was cool, but India was where I felt like I was, and Nepal and doing Asia was where I felt like, okay, now this is a completely different world. This is traveling. Everything, man. Everything. People don't eat with knives and forks there. They eat with their fingers because they believe in the energies. Just how strong, huh?
So they don't believe in bacteria.
I mean, they wash their hands.
Crazy story. I was at Red Fort in Delhi, and in Red Fort they have the holy waters, and they say if you wash your face with this and you touch it, you're blessed. So they have all these people there, and the whole Red Fort is right next to the slum. So right outside of this beautiful red castle, you have people in tents and under cloths and just living there, and it smells as well. And there's no gutters or sewage system, and there's no garbage system in there as well. They just burn everything. They don't have and so I go to the Red Fort now, and I'm like, okay, I'm here, I might as well. I'm gonna go to this holy water, see what blessings it can give. Bro, I walk up to this holy water, people, they're like putting their feet in it, they're washing their face with it, they're picking it up with their mouth, putting it in their mouth and spitting back in.
Spitting it back in.
He's spitting it back in, and
Alright.
just so that not even the worst part. So I come up to, I was like, and I've been in India at this point for like 10 months now, so that's nothing. That's not disgusting at all in your head after being there for that long. But I walk up to this pool now, and there was maggots at the top. There was sewage at the top. I was like, the water was disgusting. But these women and the family, beautiful. They were beautiful. The best skin ever.
They're accustomed to that,
they
man.
were-
Damn, they get.
But it's funny how you change, because as well, like when I first went to India, my stomach wasn't happy. But it's funny how you adapt. If I was probably raised like this, okay, I wouldn't have a reaction. But I know if I touch that water now, being raised how I was raised, and my face would have turned into an acne factory. Like I could have never.
I think I would have dead. Like, you talking about stomach alone? I would have dead. I would.
But it's you adapt.
You adapt or dead. I dead.
But like India changed. Even after not being in India, I noticed so many differences in like my body with having lived in India and eating the type of spices. It's almost as though it cleansed. Maybe, and then the other thing, you adapt. Like in India, they only have Eastern, where I was, it's mostly only Eastern toilets. And the first day I stepped in India, I was like, never in my life am I going in a hole, blah, 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 blah. And like before you know, it becomes nothing. Like you go without thinking. And I remember the last time I was there, I went and I heard these couples come in this two girls come into the restroom, and they were complaining, and I'm like, boy, that was me when I just came. But you adapt. You don't even see it as a problem anymore.
I don't know. They was doing this whole, like, in Asia too. They have that. No, obviously, I mean, in Japan they have that whole, squat toilet too. I sorry, not me, no.
Yo, you want to talk about intricate toilets? These Japanese people got everybody beaten.
Yo, but it's true though. But the thing is, what's crazy with the Japanese is two sides of extremes. Is you getting like squat in a hole, and you come with a bucket and like throw water in and all kind of thing, and then or then the other side where your toilet like plays music.
Yo, your
What?
toilet cleans your own butt. The toilet like yo.
Yeah, I used like this
one. This one restaurant had this toilet imported from Japan, and that was like the main point of the restaurant, not even the food, the toilet. So they were like marketing, like they got like the most sanitized toilet in Europe. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna try it. So I was a curious little beaver. So I walked into this toilet, I sat down, and it's like it's a legit like it's a legit experience. It even vibrates that. It massages your butt.
It warms. Like legit is the toilet, and then you have buttons on the left. I mean on the right, and you have buttons on the left. So then it depends on where like the pub camera. It depends on like the facility and like how upscale the toilet is. They have some of them that are warm to seat. They have some of them that's a bidet as well. So like it's all in one. They have some that give like environmental sounds. They have some you could change the type of sounds that come in, and then have the volume button right next to it as well. And then it's mad. Yo, exactly. You don't know what you need until they give it to you.
Yeah,
look,
sometimes you introduce something.
It's crazy.
You know what the feeling is of not having to do anything and just stand up and it's done and everything is clean?
Yeah.
Do you understand on what level that is? Your hands can just be like this the whole time. You're just like this. And you're like...
And it's the real special one, like when you open up the bathroom door, the toilet lid to go up.
Yeah.
Or like you can press a button on the thing and then the toilet lid to go up. Or like when you flush the toilet lid to go down. Yo, Japan is crazy though.
Yeah, bathroom
I don't know,
time.
I'm a simple man. I really don't know if I need all of that in my bathrooms. But.
Yo, I didn't realize. You don't realize you needed to until you see it there. Like the first day, I legit called my mother because I had a hotel the first day. I called my mother. I was like, "Ma, the toilet making noise." She was like, "Sean, what the hell are you talking about? You flush it? You mean you flush it?" Like, no, ma. They got music coming from the toilet. The toilet has a speaker. Like, yo.
Wow.
Just thinking, I'll be like, why is there a speaker in the bathroom around water and stuff?
Must be their meditation time.
No, they have a whole separate, and like they just like to be clean. legit.
So
Classy.
going back to the States. So
Oh,
yeah, so you were in
Raj.
the States. Yeah. No, we gotta continue. I mean,
No, the state saga. Yeah, we gotta
they
go through
wanna
the
speak
state
about
saga.
the States.
How you what you was doing in the state? Okay, you say you was doing your dance. You get more interested in dance again from the state.
But okay, yeah. So when I was after IIDC, I was like, okay, I'm gonna, and it's always been like a thing of mine that I would like to go train there. And I was like, before I go back, I do want to train because I also met this team out at IIDC that was encouraging me to come and train. So I was like, YOLO, it's here, the invite's here. This whole time while I've been trusting the process and going with the process, things has been coming. So time to take a big step and let's try it. So I went, but I went to visit my father first in the Caribbean in Aruba, and then I was in St. Martin, and then I got caught up in the hurricane. Aruba, and St. Martin.
yes, let's not forget St. Martin.
But then I got caught up in the hurricane there, and I was there for Irma.
Bye.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So that's another. And then from being there for a week, I ended up staying there for about a month and a half, and then I caught an evacuation flight to Miami. But then, of course, funds was running low. So, but I had met. This is the part, everybody, that they're trying to get me to come to, which is why
I really want to.
I'm cutting this way. Sorry to run out of funds, but I had met some people while I was traveling who had some connections with people in California, in Cali. So I ended up working on a cannabis farm to fund myself in the States.
What were you doing on the farm?
I was trimming, I was plucking, cutting the buds off and then having them to dry. And then I would have to trim.
So it like, oh God, I got so much. Is it actually worth it? The actual work, like.
Yes, I mean it's good. It's good pay, but it's not something I would want to do forever. Like it's a good experience, and I don't think it's something anybody wants to. Well, I can't say that. It's you. Yeah, it's cool. You don't do much, but the same thing. So once you've done it and you've learned it, it's kind of
exactly.
Yeah, and then it's kind of like, okay, what to do today? I'll sit here and I'll have to trim my bag, make some money. But yes, it was
everything by hand, though?
Everything by hand. Yeah.
How big was the farm?
A couple of acres. I ended up working on 2. So the first one I worked on was a very bad experience. I was working for, I cannot say.
Yeah, that might be a good idea.
Very bad experience. Not a good person. And so then I ended up meeting some other really cool American dudes who had a farm as well. But like one was from Cuba, one was from Miami, and they were just so laid back. Yo, want me to get you something to eat? You want some of this? You want to play some music? Like every 10-20 minutes coming and checking up on like the crew, like making sure everyone was cool. And we had these 2 massive pit bull dogs with us all the time that were constantly like, they were the biggest teddy bears, but also our guard dogs. And like my second farm was super dope and super laid back and super chilled and paid well, and I didn't have to worry about nobody trying to steal.
I was just gonna ask, like, is it how is the industry over there? You have to worry a lot about people like
depending who you're working for. So the first person I was working for, we never used this. The first person I was working for was a horrible person and not a sincere person you can trust. So, but my first person led me to my second person, and my second person was dope. Like,
y'all have got rap?
Yeah, and up to this day, like, we're still cool friends, we're still good friends, and it felt like a little family, a little clique. But it comes to that kind of life is very short. Well, for me, because I constantly want to keep moving and constantly want to keep learning. It was like, cool, done that, got my money, let's go dance now in LA. Thanks.
Well, I mean, I don't think that's an industry you want to stay in too long for real. Because, are y'all ever got rap?
No. Okay. But this is also California, so it's legal.
Yeah.
That is true. But I mean...
You know, the funny thing is, usually when you hear like, yeah, this Cuban and American guy meet up. It's
Yeah,
like
that sounds like a bit of a cliche.
Yeah, it's like a beginning of like a movie, you know. Yeah,
It could have been if I stayed. It could have been, but my mission wasn't there.
yeah, I feel you. on
But
that.
they're dope. They're cool people. You meet some really good people. Yeah, you're gonna come across some bad experiences, but bad stories always lead to good stories. And one quote that I went by with my whole travels is that it's always okay, and if it's not okay, it's not the end. So every time I found myself in a pickle, I was like, true, this is just part of the process. It's not the end. Like,
That's a good mentality to have, because God knows I don't have that.
So you made some money and then you went to LA?
then I went to LA, and then I was out in LA for a bit dancing, and then I went back to Australia because I had still had some of my stuff out in Australia.
Okay.
And now I am in Australia working as a because of the job that I did when I was in India with a charity, it got me another job with a company called Life Changer, where I am in the process of becoming a life coach for kids. And I am a social media coordinator for their website. But I still have my hustle, still working on the bar on the weekends, and I'm still teaching at night.
Yo, you have a hell of a resume. Jesus Christ.
Yeah. But it's like a little bit of everything.
But that's dope.
It's not like one specific, like, yeah.
I don't know. Me personally, I'd rather have a resume like that than have like, yeah, I worked 35 years in marketing. We're like, all right, cool. But like, what else can you do?
I mean, that's still broad though.
But that's,
Marketing is a very broad, like, there's so many stuff you can
Yeah, but I
do
mean,
in
if you,
marketing.
okay, I mean, like,
But then you become a master at marketing. This is the thing. Sometimes, like, one thing. I mean, this is what I'm doing is great because I love the movement and I love how it goes. But one thing is you spread yourself out so much that sometimes I'm noticing I'm not mastering anything because I'm spreading myself out too thick. I know a little bit about everything and I know how to do stuff in every field. But if I'm a master at any of that, I can't really.
At the same time, like, then you would probably be positioned as a producer or someone that looks at the project but doesn't really master any part of it, but then really can look at it globally and see like, okay, this is not going the way it's supposed to. So that's not a bad thing.
nah, I'd say me personally, I rather
Depends on what you want.
I would rather that. I'd rather be good at have like a little bit expertise in everything. And then, like, if something has to come up where I have to delve deeper into it, and then cool, at least I have a basis on it. Then, you know, if that's necessary, then I could, instead of just being dropped in the water, like, hey, you just do this.
Yeah.
But that's just me.
I don't know. I find myself conflicted between the two. Whether it's like which one is better, being a master of something or a jack of all trades. Like,
but like you say, it depends on you personally and like your goals in life and
life
aspirations.
tends to tell you that you need to pick one thing and like do this. And so even if, because I find myself kind of in a similar situation, maybe not as diverse and not in traveling and those type of experience, but I know a lot about, a little about a lot of different
things,
subjects. And to me, it's just, I never wanted to focus on just one thing because I was interested in a lot of things, and that's why I would look up information on all kind of random subjects.
You know,
or whatever.
like,
I can't see myself doing that focus.
The thing is also like you can focus on one thing for a period
of
time and be a somewhat master of it, and then when the time comes and you're like, okay, I want to progress or move forward with something else.
I feel like that's the way society and life kind of set up and tells you that you should go about it. You know, you do school, you finish 4 years or whatever. After you do that, then you go on to a job, you work that for whatever, and then
but that's kind of different.
That's still
because
kind of
that is like you're going still one field, you're just upgrading. It's like 2.0 of the same thing. But I meant more like in terms of my experience. Like I wanted to learn about how to play piano, so I did that for a bit. I was like, okay, what can I do now? I wanna become a DJ, so then I did that. They're still in the music genre, but they're totally two different things. Like
because like they don't have enough. I like see this personally. I see enough people like go 20-30 years in the field. All of a sudden, the company go belly up, get fired, and then it's like, oh my god, you know what are you gonna do with my life now? I can't. I only been doing this. You know, I only know about this, and I don't want to be in that position.
No, but then you could just study for something else. It's
but then you done like 35, 40.
Yeah, you don't want to study.
You want, big man, I 25. I don't want to go back to school. You think I want to go back to like 40?
No, but you don't have like that's the thing. Like especially from where you're talking about, there's people in Asia they're still studying and 40 years old. They don't care. If you want to do something new, like if you've been studying in a field for so long and there's something new comes up,
okay, yeah,
why not?
I could see that,
but sometimes one thing leads you to another thing. So yeah, if he's in marketing now, he might be introduced to something else along the way.
Yeah, that's right.
And I would just give. And honestly, it's all about who you know, because like.
But that's a good thing and a bad thing. Cause that's a little sad as well. Because like legit, if you didn't meet this person, this would have never happened.
You know, it's scientifically proven that humans are at the happiest when we connect and when we help one another. So maybe it is all about networking.
But I mean, in general, humans are a group species. Like we're made
social aminos.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, no, that's
you heard correct.
But you see, I didn't even went into it. I realized after a while that's just his way of saying it.
I mean, we talked about the regrets not too long. If they can do it, why can I not?
Okay.
Because the regrets are supposed to be that even 2 years old.
I rest it. It's still a propeller and a crack pit to me. If they can do it, I can as well.
Jesus Christ. Anyway, humans are made to be like social beings. So I mean, I could understand where that's concerned. But I mean, they got a lot of dicks in the world too, yo. Like people that just want to see others suffer and just want to see others not progress.
Yeah, but if we emphasize on them, then we're giving them credit. If we ignore them and just focus on the good, then we're only giving the good the credit.
Can we not do both? Can we not tell them with these dicks and still move on?
No, but they want you to tell them that they're dicks.
Yeah, and therefore you're feeding
they
them.
want acknowledgement.
Man.
Like, that's true, because honestly,
yeah,
it's still, even if you're telling them to F you or whatever it is you might want to say, that's still dedicating a certain amount, allocating a certain amount of mental capacity and time, energy into expressing it into this thing that's not serving you in any way.
And that feeds them. That's like, well, fuck, he said, blah, 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 blah. And then they start
so you believe in this whole like energy or
focus on what you like, man.
Yeah.
Yeah?
100%.
Did you already believe in that while you were in India? Did India reinforce it? Or
India reinforced it. I've always had that side of me, always, especially because my father is very much into it as well. But India reinforced it.
Okay, so give me an example. Give me a story. Because like when you hear about everybody want to be spiritual, they want to like get a time out, or they want to find themselves, they always end up some fucking India.
But my whole journey is the experience. Like once I started focusing on being here and now and stopped worrying about where they're going, what have I lost? Am I getting back in the country? Have I left everything behind in England for nothing? Once I stopped worrying about that and just started enjoying what was in front of me, I stopped giving the energy to the bad. Only the good started presenting itself, and more of the good started becoming more visible. I had all of my energy was just on that. Not even one little reserve was on the bad.
Sound like mindfulness meditation practices.
I actually did it for 10 days, silence. In India, 10 days silent meditation. You had to turn off your phone. Sorry, I'm sick. You had to turn off your phone. You had to, you couldn't have any books, pens, or paper. You couldn't make eye contact with anybody for 10 days. You just had to be in silence. And the key thing, the thing behind it, the objective behind it was that just like when you get to spend a lot of time with somebody, in this case, you're spending a lot of time with yourself. So you understand why you think in a certain way, why certain emotions come up, what happens when you do go still, what distracts you. You start realizing certain patterns, certain behaviors that you had. And a lot of people, especially in like today's day and day, when you're working, you're constantly on the go. So you're brushing everything under the carpet. You're not dealing with anything. And this forces you to deal with it and deal with where your energies need to be, how to align yourself properly.
I don't know if I could take that.
It was very liberating. I thought it would be hard, but I actually really liked it.
I don't know how I would be able to do that, because me myself, I can't even sleep in silence. Like silence freaks me out.
Oof.
That's a key sign that you're running from something, kind of.
Yeah, silence.
No, I mean, like, why does the silence scare you?
I don't know.
At that moment is exactly what
since I was small. I always had this thing that maybe it was because of movies and like TV and stuff like that. Whenever something's too quiet, like shit gonna go wrong.
I could
So you
understand
get
that to
anxious
some
when
degree.
it's too quiet.
Yeah, like I always think like something go you know, and is maybe it's a whole mental something, but like maybe from say like 14, 15, 16, I kind of started to realize like it starting to happen actually, like when shit would go quiet, like either I would get a mess up phone call or get a fuck up message, or like my mother would start cussing me out of nowhere, or you know, granted, maybe those are some things I have done.
Was it out of nowhere?
Yeah, maybe it wasn't out of nowhere. But like I started to realize like stuff like that happened, and that just reinforced my whole, I guess, fear or trauma or whatever you want to call it. Ever since then, like that just stick with me. Like I don't like silence.
But I find in silence and in stillness is when things are created, when ideas start coming.
I don't know. For me, it's the
formulated.
opposite, because for me, it's like, okay, I see this, I see like the cup, and I end up thinking like, okay, cool, the cup got water in it, and I'm thinking like a beach, and I'm thinking of something else, and then from there, it's just like it
Yeah,
just
but you
goes
see, you
on.
were influenced by something. You were influenced by the cup and the water.
Yeah.
In this way, you come up with your own creativity, and you start realizing what it is that naturally starts coming to you.
Yeah, we see, maybe that would be more difficult for me, because I don't find myself creative.
But
So
you've
like,
never
But
known
there's-
because you've never been in silence. You
True.
said.
But
Sure.
there's also like two different type of people. Because some people are creative in chaos.
Yes.
Some people can be very creative in chaos,
I
and
think
some
I'm one
people
of those.
cannot.
Because then, like when you were saying that, I was thinking like one of the first things that happened to me was Basquiat, and there's like stories of this man. He would have on the radio, he would have on the TV, he would have like the amount of things that he would have around him going on at the same time, all to be inspired to find something that sparks him his interest or to get the creative juices flowing.
Yeah.
Is like the polar opposite of that. And it's
Yeah.
like,
Even,
I think Basquiat did okay for himself. I mean,
even if you go like music wise, like you take for example a Dr. Dre, who is more methodical and he thinks about what he does. I said the word wrong.
methodical.
Yes. And he likes his studio to be like really calm, whereas Tupac, yeah, would have like his whole posse behind, and like would be like people smoking weed and then screaming and stuff, and then he's like in the booth.
But
so it's like two very different like.
I think you just with something with things like that, you legit have to find what's best for you,
Yeah.
because
I
like
mean, even
everybody.
studying is a similar thing. I know some people that study with music, and I'm like, what is you doing? The minute, especially rap, is like, how you want me to focus on what's in this book and not what this dude
But you
is
see,
saying?
I can't. You see,
Impossible.
and it's complete opposite for me. I cannot just sit down there and just focus on in complete silence. I don't lose my
I mean,
mind, Jad.
jazz is cool.
No,
That's
like-
what jazz
like,
was
I
created
can
for,
live-
in my opinion.
Okay,
Like-
maybe this is the reason I spent a little bit longer in school than I had to. But like, I legit would have like
You
dance
finish. I
playing.
can't say nothing.
I would legit have that, like when I used to study my Japanese and thing, like dance will be playing in the background and them kind of ones, because like I can't do it in silence. I just get, let me not say can't, because I never like did, I never pushed in all that kind of crap, but
I know.
I never put myself to do it. To me, it's not it's not comfortable. Let me put it that way. It's not comfortable for me.
Not like my girl, she would have on series, but usually, something that she already watched.
Yeah,
so she
just have background noise. Yep.
Yeah. But
Yep.
For me, if it's music with lyrics in particular, I cannot listen to it. I focus way too much on what is being said in a song to be able to read while doing that.
But I guess it's just different strokes for different folks.
Yeah, no, but that's what we
It's like,
more or less
it's like
saying.
what somebody said. You gotta figure out what works for you.
Yeah, you have to, because you get. I mean, you say like, yeah, this person's gonna tell you, yeah, you should do this. This person, the other one, gonna tell you complete opposite, and that's why Edmund gets. So I'm like, okay, cool. You know what? Let me just do whatever I find is comfortable, and it might not always be the best way, but it works. Especially when it comes to like studying and I didn't even want to get into that. Oh God, I get a headache just thinking about it. And then you plan to go back to school at any point, anytime, like a master's or like another degree or
No.
See, you smart.
No. I rather just go through experience. I'm just seeing what's coming up. Things are starting to unfold for me now, and I'm just going with it. I don't want to start planning, because the minute I start planning, I start taking away what's coming for me.
And that's an interesting perspective to it as well, because I was brought up and raised completely different.
No, me too. This was very hard for me to adjust to, but it was this trip has given me a completely different perspective. Like
But-
just
What do you think of like the concept of? It's something that I hear a lot of people say that in order to manifest your goals or whatever it is, you write it down, have it set, look at it in some way, do something towards that goal every day.
That's the key thing where people like forget. They would write it, they would visualize it, but they won't do anything to work towards it. I think the idea of writing it and visualizing it and seeing it is so that it becomes your only focus. And because it becomes your only focus, that's all you end up doing and thinking about, oh, I gotta get up, say, to become a fitness model, let's say. You know, I can see it, I can see myself doing it, see myself on stage doing all of this stuff. But if I'm not putting in the work when I'm at the kitchen, if I'm not putting in the work at the gym, it's never going to come with anything.
Yep. Faith without practice is useless.
You need the practice, and the whole reinforcing thing of saying it is just a reminder of what your mission is, what track you're on.
It's the same thing when I see people pray, but then they don't do anything to change the situation. Right? Praying does not help by itself.
Praying is supposed to be the reminder for yourself of what you're supposed to be doing.
I've also heard that is often a misquoted Bible verse, and I can't tell you the exact Bible verse because I'm not the right person for that. But basically, it says something along the lines of, yes, you pray, but God does not reward the person that doesn't do. It's like that you make the request for him to give you the strength so you can do type of thing.
Yeah, but you gotta do. Yeah.
And that's where a lot of people get around. It's like they just stop at the praying and didn't read the whole sentence type of thing.
Yeah. And we're closing the Bible now.
That's how we religion. But with your whole child, you ever, especially in India, you ever feel like you had to learn the language or have to learn a type of Hindu? Okay, I mean, I guess generalizing. I know there's other things in Hindu, but
I learned a lot automatically just through being there and seeing how they live from day to day. But there came a point, I do know like a little bit of Hindi to get me by now, but like there was also a point when I was living in Jaipur where I knew I always stood out because people would always watch or be like, you know, there's not many white girls, there's barely any foreign people walking around there, and I'm not dressed like your typical Indian woman either. But once I became completely comfortable, even though I was dressed the same way, I looked the same way, I noticed people won't stare at me as much anymore. People weren't looking at me, or people weren't hustling me. It was like I became so submerged into the environment and so comfortable with my environment that people automatically read that as well.
Okay, so you never felt like, okay, it took you got comfortable. You didn't feel out of place your whole time there.
I mean, yeah, I don't want to say I felt out of place because being in India was very inspiring for me to be there. There was constantly something there to learn. So it wasn't like, oh, I don't belong here. Like I knew I didn't belong there, but I was curious.
Okay.
I was curious, and I wanted to stay there to understand.
I'm thinking about like my specific experiences in Asia, and it's like I knew I didn't belong there.
Yeah.
Like I legit knew it, but like in both places where I really lived, they never made me feel uncomfortable. Like people, they used to stare and stuff like that, but it's more legit them staring out of curiosity than them staring out of like, okay, what is he doing here?
Yeah.
Or like, does he realize he's okay? I think a lot of them looked at me like, does he realize he's not supposed to be here? But that was in certain places in Vietnam and Japan. I just didn't have to be, but that's a whole different story.
But no, I have that exact same experience. People would stare at me like, she doesn't belong here. Does she realize what neighborhood she's in? Does she realize where in India she's at? Why is this foreigner here? And like some of them haven't even seen me, like my color skin tone before. But that's what was so fascinating to me, because coming from St. Martin and being from such a diverse... St. Martin is the most diverse place I've ever been. I could go to St. Martin, I could be in a classroom with blacks, whites, Chinese, South Americans, Filipinos, everything. And then to go to a country and stand out so much. Yeah, I experienced it in Holland. But in Holland, you have your Caribbean society, and you get your mixture. I experienced it in England, but you still get your mixture. But I imagine in Japan, you said, either? Yeah. In Japan and in India and all that.
Very homogenous place.
Yeah.
It's like, whoa, you're so different.
And especially
like,
because I wasn't in Japan. I wasn't like in the capital, like Tokyo, those kind of places. I was legit South Japan, and like, I legit know I was the only black person me, the only black person within like 10, at least 10-mile radius, at least, for sure. Like legit people, everybody from like the street sweepers to the people in the cars. And back then I had hair, so everybody just watched like legit breaking and like okay,
Snoop.
who's this
dog?
Oh man, I legit had people taking I'm sure I'm still on at least two or three people profile pictures on Facebook. Just the amount of pictures I took, you legit make you feel like a celebrity over there. It's mad.
Yeah, I can imagine.
It's ridiculous. Especially when all they want to come and touch your hair.
Oh,
Everyone want to see like if it's
I've
real.
seen it.
Or,
Yo, that happens here too.
Yeah.
Want to be a black man walking around with an afro? Can I touch it? No. Don't touch my afro.
Even when I used to work in Zara, you know what I mean? Like the colleagues used to be like, yo, is it okay for me to ask black people to touch their hair? I'm like,
no, do not.
In a general aspect,
No.
not really.
No.
Like why? Why is this something like?
Do I look like a goddamn animal?
People just don't like you
Am I
up.
a pet? Why you want
Yeah,
to be petting?
just don't like to be up in your personal space. Like if you're really cool with them, they might leave you. Be like, all right, cool, no problem. But
next time when someone asks you that, just flip it. Like, would you feel okay if a random black guy just comes like?
they'll call sexual assault.
It's true.
To me, it's just like respect people's personal space. I mean, just a basic principle. I understand it's different in certain cultures or whatever. People maybe are used to being a little more handsy with each other in certain cultures or whatever. But
Shout out to
like
Latin part of the world.
Also
Asian.
No, but the Asian culture, they really hands on.
like metros and things like
Yeah,
that.
not is a
To be that close to
is a
people out of metro.
is a different, because like for instance, if you compare Japan and Vietnam, the Vietnamese, when they are comfortable with you and when they feel like you're a good person, they'll legit like come and hug you all the time, or like be touching you all the time, or like try to be all over you. Whereas in Japan, they have a little misconception when it comes to like because of the population. The tram, when the metros and stuff like that, they're not that full because they want to be. Like shit like that happens because legit they have nowhere else to go, and everywhere is just ridiculously full. Like they even have certain slots for women. Like between, if I'm not mistaken, in Tokyo, between 6 and 7, there's legit only one cart that only women are allowed to go in. Like men are not allowed to go in that part of the metro.
Is that because of the gropers and stuff?
That's because that's to show you how integrated the kind of sexual assault is in the culture. Like instead of just trying to teach the younger fellas and the men, no, this is wrong, don't do this, we just separate the women.
I mean, I remember seeing an article about how they was trying to do a similar thing with a music festival somewhere in one of them Norwegian countries. I forget which one exactly.
Only men and only
Scandinavian country. I mean, they was doing it like a only female festival because that way.
Yeah, I can see that. When I teach, sometimes I have only female classes.
Yeah,
and we have to close the blinds, and then all the Muslims will take off their.
Oh yeah, because they got a lot of them there. Oh,
they can't show their hairs.
I didn't even think of that. It's like no men allowed, period.
But there's also lots of gyms in India, so it's only a woman's gym.
Yeah, but I mean, I could understand that. I can understand, but I mean, is it still like that, or is it becoming a little bit more?
No. India is still very much a third world country.
And you don't see it moving from there or developing anytime soon. Just based on your experiences in the country.
No. It'll be a while. It's coming. You have it like Mumbai and Delhi and all the big cities, yes. But there's lots of other cities that are on the outside of the big cities that, no.
It's a slow process. I mean, they just let women drive in Saudi Arabia, so...
Yeah.
That just happened.
How much time did you spend in the cities in India, in like the Delhi and the Mumbai?
Not much. I was mostly in the rural areas. Because that's where I was most interested in, because that was what's most bizarre to me. And I wanted to understand that.
So then, you ever consider of doing the same thing what you're doing in India to make something like systematic?
Yeah, I have. I have. Maybe I shouldn't say. But right now I'm doing something else. I will eventually get there. I mean, I think the aim is I don't want to head back to St. Martin now, I want to be able to make something for myself and have something that I could bring back. And I'm
Very
not.
smart.
This is a trend.
Common theme on this podcast.
Yeah, but you see, that's why I asked you, because it's cool, but a little sad at the same time that all our people that doing something abroad
want to go back,
have no kind of interest in going back anytime soon.
You just know it's going to be difficult.
It makes no sense. Jade, I am in the same boat with you. I'm in the same exact boat. And that's why I say it's really cool,
in this room on the same boat.
But sad, but it's a little sad, because if we don't go back, the older ones will just continue to fuck up the place.
But it's coming. It might be coming. I think it's really good that a lot of us, well, some of us choose not to go back to St. Martin right away after they study. I think it's good that some of us choose to gain experience, because I feel like that's when you really start learning, is when you're out and you're working within the industry. And if you're flying all over the world and gaining experience in whatever field you're in, and you come back with that, then I feel like that would be more valuable. Then you have a better fight to put out as well.
Same end of that stick. They have those who've been there from since they went back, who've been through the muddy waters, who've been like fighting, I guess, for the fight and trying to do better for the island, and then they're just getting roadblock because of the older ones, or they don't have enough support.
But I mean, they building like the ramp for eventually when we come with the...
They're laying the foundation.
But this is what I'm saying as well. Networking is very important, because you don't know who you're going to meet on the outside world that could be a help and an influence for you that you could bring back to the island.
And even aside from that as well, I feel as though, like, to bring back something you were saying earlier, like, everybody have a purpose, and to me, not everybody's purpose would necessarily be to leave Siman and go back, or not even to come back to Siman.
Yeah, it's
because
true.
you could also serve the island, be beneficial to the island by still maintaining contact with people that's actually on the island type of vibe, while expanding in somewhere else, in another country somewhere.
Yep.
And then, so, I mean, since we're talking about Siman and stuff, who... I believe you was working with one of the organizations.
K1 Britannia?
Yeah. So how was that after Irma?
Oh, yeah, it was really good. K1 Britannia, they're amazing. We were distributing food on the island. We had contact. We were working with the harbor and getting in the food down from the harbor, and then we would go around and we would distribute it throughout the island. But we were distributing a lot of Albert Heijn stuff, which was nice to see. But that was only my section. We were distributing food and water, but K1 Britannia isn't. I was just a volunteer for K1 Britannia.
So should we ask if, like, about the rumors about the food being there, not being there? You know anything about that?
Oh boy, I don't want to get in trouble. I don't want to get in trouble.
Okay, we can leave that, 'cause that was a topic of a lot of conversations up here on this podcast. If the food was actually being there, because we had Celia on at one point, but he was more part of Mix Martin. Yeah, Rebuild XSM, my bad. And we had Jamila on as well. She was
Jamila
Boyrad.
Oh yeah.
She had on
Make Siman great again.
Yeah, she was more involved with Make Siman great again. So it's just, now that we have somebody from that was actually part of K1 Britannia, it's interesting to see how
you get your girl in for that. I don't want to push no buttons.
Nah, man, that was cool. We won't get you in trouble. But with that, I just find it a lot cool. I find it's cooler to see how a lot more young people was actually involved in charity in general.
Oh yeah, that was being back home for the hurricane was a beautiful experience as well, because we didn't have phones, we didn't have internet, we didn't have anything, and it forced us all to come together.
Yep.
And that's when you really saw the beauty of St. Martin. Like, nobody had fridges, nobody had electricity, nothing. Everyone was coming together. I got some chicken, I need to eat quick. You want to try it on the barbecue? Hey, you want to come over? We got some beer, we got some... And there was free alcohol everywhere.
You don't know we're ready.
Free drinks.
That's already a problem.
And when it's like that, everybody's just sharing. It's like, man, I got a case of Jack Daniels, you want some? Bloop. Everyone just comes.
Before everything got so modernized.
Yeah.
And that's why I was like, it was so beautiful to be on St. Martin again, because I felt St. Martin again.
So I'll just blow GP and everybody can have a great time.
And this man went from having everything shared to blowing up real quick now.
The views expressed by Kana are those of Kana. I ain't making no threats.
I mean, we just make sure that, obviously the place is clear, but,
You still going?
Put a couple
I thought we were trying to keep it Disney. This man just went from Disney to
Anarchy.
civil upright. Okay, I'm gonna leave it there. I'm done.
It's very tricky.
I'm sorry. You see, this is why I end up saying dumb shit because
Because you run into a silence.
And I already done say I don't like silence.
Okay.
The thing is, we wanted to hit some of the topics that we had, or we already going for an hour and 40 minutes.
Wow, why camera just dead?
Okay. So
with that said,
I gotta give a big shout out to Santos and Sheldon, who have been waiting for me.
Oh shit!
No, but it's okay. It's okay.
Maybe that's a good time.
No, it's a week. Okay.
No, I think with the camera being done, because you are the guest, people really want to see you. So
thanks.
With that being thing, we can wrap up.
Is there anything you'd like to plug, promote, get
shout out? Yeah, anybody else?
Just to everyone in general. I mean, like I said earlier, if you don't know what you're doing, follow your curiosity, and your curiosity usually leads you to where you want to go. And remember, it's always okay in the end. If it's not okay, it's not the end.
That's something I keep in mind. I ain't gonna lie.
Put it on a shirt.
Yeah. I'm putting my notes on my iPhone. Be like, okay, like always, if you guys have anybody, before I say that, let me thank Jade for coming on the podcast. We really appreciate it and your stories.
Thank you.
If y'all have anybody else y'all want us to have up on the show, whether it's an interview or just have a regular conversation, hit us up on the Facebook. We are Facebook, the LinkUp podcast. You can hit us up on Instagram, the LinkUp392. You could also find me on Instagram, Mr_Labega. And yeah, like I said last week, if anybody down from St. Martin or going to St. Martin or seeing the island anytime soon, hit up any organization that you know or you see that doing something on the island. It's time for us to get back instead of waiting for government. That's going to be my line for the next couple of weeks. It'll come like months, couple of years, as a matter of fact, because it's about time. Yeah, that's me.
You gotta be the change.
Yeah, gotta try to start something.
Be the change. Yes.
Shout out Jennifer and all them again, for the contribution, the green box and all that.
Woods, you got anything?
Bye.
Make sure check out the mixtape.
Is that? Well, first of all, if you want to follow me, you can follow me on Instagram or any other social media. Just type in Woods the Chosen, because I'm the chosen. I just want to thank everybody for listening to my mixtape, by the way. We just reached like 883 plays.
Oof.
Yes, we get
it's like almost an hour, so that's a lot.
People showing commitment.
But yeah, no, actually, I gonna plug that one time too. If y'all ever, have your pre, how we is up here in Holland, we like to pre-party before we go places. Show on the Red too is a whole mixture of hip hop, R&B, and dancehall.
Before Encore tomorrow, Troython.
Oh, hey, here's the silent plug. Before Encore tomorrow, Troython mixtape. Trust me. It's going to be worth it. You're going to be constantly looking for songs, and this one here, this one, and that one here. That one is decent. It's worth it. Check it out.
Once you reach 1,000, Melon's coming out.
It's coming. It's coming,
yes,
baby.
That's part 2.
Yes.
King?
And yeah, all I got to say is make sure you check out FBR by Three Conscious Cats, and make sure stay on the lookout, because pretty soon the second track will be dropping. I'll announce the name. The title is real, but that's going to be coming soon. Probably September 1st. I mean, why not just drop the release date and stuff?
Yeah. Just make a commitment to it,
In the meantime, make sure to check out FBR by Three Conscious Cats. I think you'll enjoy it. It's available on all streaming services and whatnot. So yeah, I think that's about it for today. I think we covered everything. Nobody got nothing else out there.
We good.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, always.
You're welcome. So glad to have you.
Glad we catch you.
Yeah. It was close. It's all good.
Well, yeah, till next time.
Yes.
Ciao,
we'll see you the
Bella.
next time we link up.
Bless.